Teslas. Now see, I think this is wasted potential. First of all, it costs too much for what it does. And second of all, it can't target flyers. That's the last line there. Useless. Absolutely useless. It has the more time you give it to charge, the more damage it does when it releases a lightning bolt. And what the idea behind this is mostly for the best use is like rate of fire is completely useless. It doesn't matter. It can be upgraded. Who cares? It's used for like a last resort type thing. If they're getting close to the exit and they have some cores, if it's like a rumbler with half health or something like that, the idea is this has had enough time to charge since it's near the exit, and then it'll take out the rumbler in one shot so that the rumbler doesn't get by. If the one shot doesn't kill it, it fires consecutive shots, and they're useless because they haven't had a chance to charge, so it's really weak, those consecutive shots. So what you want is one shot, alien's dead, it has more time to charge before the next alien comes. That's the idea behind it. So any map where the exit is the same as the entrance, this thing becomes absolutely useless. It's retarded how useless this is. Because if you build it near the exit that time, then any time aliens are coming in, it's going to be firing at them, and it's not going to be charging. It's absolute waste. And why can't it target flyers? Why is it only ground units? It's because it's already been outdone by the missile tower for that. Alright? As far as I'm concerned, if you got rumbler troubles or whatever, build some freaking cannons at your exit, okay? Same thing, only they don't need to charge. They just fire slowly. So, these things are useless. I think I have yet to build one as a demonstration is what it does. Maybe I will eventually, but I have found no practical use for these whatsoever, and the cost is ridiculous for what they do. If they were cheaper, they would be so much more worth it. Alright, here's the laser. It is really powerful, but not as powerful as a cannon, and the range is not as good. And you'll notice it costs the same as a cannon. So there's the laser's biggest problem. The attack is good, not as good as a cannon. The range is okay, not as good as a cannon. It fires constantly versus a cannon. So, and it can set things on fire. But it's useless against shields, and it essentially has to have things right next to it. It has practical uses in some places, mostly in the first levels before you have anything better. But a cannon can usually handle anything that the laser would be effective against. And if you're finding that speed guys are getting through a little too far, build yourself an Inferno instead and set them on fire. Not going to do as much damage, but it's going to be a heck of a lot cheaper and accomplish the same goal, that speed guys are weak against fire. So lasers kind of another thing about a laser is for some odd reason it says right here, multiple laser towers firing on a single unit are not as effective. So you have to place the lasers far enough apart to where two laser towers are not shooting the same enemy. I'm not exactly sure why that's the case, but it certainly makes things more complicated. Like, you might just go ahead and start placing some laser towers down for like a juggernaut or something like that, or maybe even a rumbler. I think these would be best for rumblers. But then you find out that they're firing on the same one at the same time, and then you have to delete it and move it and everything like that. So again, I mean, cost the same as a cannon. Build a cannon instead. That's my personal opinion. If you don't have a cannon, then build this. It serves its purpose in the earlier ones. Command, that's the one we just got, and I think I explained pretty well exactly what they're really good for. The whole stealth enemy things will actually come into play once that I can remember. I'm not exactly so sure that it's important for the little stealth guys to be visible so your cannons can shoot before they get right up next to the cannon tower, which, if you guys remember, is how towers see stealth enemies without a command tower's help. Now, what's really useful is that everything you kill gives you 125% resources. So, extra 25%, adds up real fast, especially with a Seeker coming by or something like that. Or if you can get a Juggernaut killed in that's already given you like 1,000 resources. Boom, 250 more resources. That's extremely helpful. So, like I said, I've already explained how you want to build towers around a temporal. Why not add a command right next to the temporal? Its range is a little bigger, so make sure that you place the temporal first in a way that'll let aliens be slowed down and shot by your towers, and then you can move the command tower a little bit around since its range ends up being a little bit farther. And then anything killed by that cluster is giving you that much more. It actually ends up working so perfectly together. The cannons shoot slow, well, the temporal makes things move slow. The guns are actually just average, well, they become above average with the temporal's help, and then you just build all of those around each other, build a command tower there for a little extra resources. That is a cluster, my friend. And if you can put that in a spot, like right in front of the cores, where as they're going in to get the cores, they're getting shot by this cluster, and as they're coming out with the cores, they're getting shot by this cluster. That's perfect. That's exactly what you want to aim for in each map. So for the most part, every tower has a use, except for Tesla, Laser, and Inferno has more uses than those, so I can't really say that it's worthless. Tesla is absolutely worthless. There's no reason to build a Tesla, ever. And lasers, really no reason to build them over a cannon. Command, you don't necessarily always want to build, but temporal, gun, and cannons, you will want to build as often as you can. Yeah, I would just like to come back and reiterate this point a little more effectively, about how really the only literally useless tower is the Tesla. When I say that the Inferno and Laser don't have as many uses as the other towers, I mean that in a general sense. There are going to be some levels where they hit you up with a group that's really hard, lots of HP or something like that, and you don't have a lot of resources. You certainly don't have enough resources to build a Meteor or a Concussion, and you're going to want to go ahead and build an Inferno right away just to take care of those, because guns won't be enough. I mean, they'll do that sometimes, and then there'll be other levels where they'll give you swarms and swarms of aliens, and then they'll throw a bunch of rumblers in there at just the right moments where they can trade between each other, and you're really going to want to set those rumblers on fire so you can take them out that much faster. So lasers would be ideal for that. I really mean that in general practice, you can just go ahead and skip building an Inferno tower and get through the first few waves with lots of guns, or even an upgraded gun so that it just shoots faster and handles them all that much faster, and save up the resources for meteors and concussions. And then for the most part, most of the time, anything weak to fire is not going to be worth building the laser. That's the only thing I mean. I'm not saying that Infernos and lasers are utterly useless. They have their purposes in some missions, but generally speaking, cannons and guns will always handle everything for you, especially with the help of a temporal. That's what really seals the deal. So yeah, the only really useless tower is Tesla. I can just never find a use for it, ever. So, see, I don't know if we have anybody out there that are laser or Inferno enthusiasts that really like to use them when they play the game and are going to flame me or whatnot. I just wanted to stress that point. They aren't 100% useless like the Tesla. They're just not as practical as other towers. And the reason I didn't read this is because I believe what's written down here is contrary to what I just told you in some instances. So, like, they probably really soup up the Tesla. It's like, it's so powerful if it's charged up. It's so useless no matter even if it charges up. So, that is not exactly a quick review of all the towers, but I'm very glad that you stuck with me this far, and I will see you at the next mission, and you will be much more educated as to why I am building the way I am. So, see you next time.